The Smashing Machine isn't just a movie about MMA. It's a story about a man trying to hold his life together while the world sees him as nothing but a weapon. Mark Kerr was a legend in the cage, but outside of it, he was just a human being, broken, scared, and trying to find control in a life that kept slipping away. This film pulls back the curtain and shows us the truth behind the fighter. The pain, the pressure, the love, the addiction, and the cost of surviving your own success. The film starts with Mark Kerr sitting in front of a camera and talking about his achievements in the UFC. He looks strong and confident, but also tired. After the interview, he leaves for his next fight. This scene shows public image versus inner truth. Mark looks like a champion, but there's already a sadness in him. It sets up the idea that fighters often hide their pain behind the spotlight. Mark is at home with Dawn. Their relationship feels loving but unstable. He scolds her lightly for making his bulking shake wrong, then quickly apologizes. His mood swings show how tense their life is. He trains with Mark Coleman and tries to stay disciplined, but small moments show he is slipping into drugs and stress. Mark tries to control his body, his career, and his relationship, but everything around him feels fragile. The shake moment shows how tiny things can expose deeper problems. Mark meets Japanese officials to discuss his pay, but is distracted and drifting in and out of drug use. There is a distance in his eyes. His world feels loud, fast, and overwhelming. The world sees him as a product, not a person. The drugs show how he escapes from that pressure, even when it costs him himself. Before the fight, Mark sits alone in the locker room, clearly high. Dawn is emotional, and they argue. Mark goes out and loses badly. He quietly walks back into the locker room and breaks down crying. This is the moment where the mask falls. The scene shows the cost of being a warrior. Even the strongest men can break when life becomes too much. His tears show what fans never see, the human side of the fighter. Back home, Mark and Dawn spiral even further. The next morning, Mark overdoses. Dawn panics and calls Coleman to come and help. Coleman, at the hospital, tells Mark he needs to change, and Mark agrees. This is the theme of hitting rock bottom. Sometimes you must fall as far as possible before you can rise. Coleman represents the last connection Mark has to discipline, family, and reality. Mark enters rehab. It's slow, painful, and lonely. His relationship with Dawn becomes strained. She leaves, and Mark leaves for training camp with Rutten. Rehab symbolizes rebirth. Mark is trying to rebuild himself from scratch. Dawn leaving represents how healing often means losing people who cannot keep up with your change. Under Rutten, Mark finds strength again. He becomes faster, calmer, and stronger. He wins his next fight, and for a moment, everything feels hopeful. This is the rise. Bass symbolizes structure, discipline, and healthy masculinity. Mark is at his best when he is surrounded by people who truly care about him. Mark reconnects with Dawn. Bass disagrees with this decision, worried that Dawn's behavior and lifestyle will drag Mark back down, but Mark leaves camp to be with her. This scene shows the theme of addiction to people. Mark is fighting not just drugs, but emotional dependence. Dawn represents comfort, even if that comfort is hurting him. Mark and Dawn argue again, this time about her partying and hedonistic lifestyle. Mark breaks up with her and asks her to leave. Dawn, broken and lost, attempts suicide, and she is rushed into care. This scene shows love as pain. Their relationship is intense, passionate, but toxic. It also highlights how trauma doesn't disappear. It simply shifts between both people. They are destroying each other without meaning to. Mark returns to Japan for another big fight, but he is mentally gone. During the fight, he has flashbacks of Dawn, his past, his career, and his failures. He gets knocked out brutally. In this moment, Mark isn't fighting an opponent. He's fighting himself. While Mark is hurt and receiving stitches, Coleman wins the 2000 Pride Grand Prix. Mark sits in the shower afterward, smiling and laughing, not out of joy, but out of disbelief, exhaustion, and maybe even acceptance. Mark realizes that he may never be the champion he once dreamed of. Coleman's win isn't jealousy, it's closure. The movie cuts to the real Mark Kerr today. He's in a grocery store, living a quiet life. Text reveals that he and Dawn married 11 days after his loss at the Grand Prix. He retired in 2009. He may not have been famous, but he is considered a pioneer of the sport. The smashing machine ends not with a win, but with a quiet moment. A man choosing peace over glory. Mark Kerr may not be a household name today, but his story shaped the sport forever. And maybe that's the point. Legends aren't always recognized. Sometimes they're the ones who fight their hardest battles in silence. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.